Okay, so let's get started. It's very late. We're burning the midnight oil because of so much going on behind the scenes, and we have to get this information out because we're in the vicious negotiation for the repatriation of Richard's remains. That's what's going on here. It is all political. It is so political because the politics are just that dirty. They are just that evil, and so broken, very very evil. Um, I just so we are um, having to dig um, to literally find our son's remains. To get well, not to we know they found his remains, and we want them returned to us. They were stolen off of Fort Bliss and trafficked over to Mexico, making this an international incident, an international crime. I wish I had all of the legal jargon to explain all this to you. Um, but I think you know that it's complicated when you uh, traffic, when you murder on a military base, then steal their body off of that military base because you have to have a lot of connections to do that, right? To get away with that. And then to traffic his body to Mexico for disposal. Um, and then you're told to investigate. Uh, we find all of the evidence that confirms that his remains are in Mexico. We report all of that. Um, we get a location and we understand, we get the evidence that Cesar um, Duarte and Carlos Manuel Salas and Cesar Paneche and Hargay and Maru Campos, they're all cartel. They're all cartel. They're all compromised. These are the Chihuahuan government officials over and over again. And that the DOJ there was compromised, that the FBI with Colin Wenton's connection to the cartel is compromised, that the Texas Rangers, Jose Sanchez, the director, the top cop for the Texas Rangers, DPS, totally compromised. Cartel, all within that agency, a law enforcement agency, compromised court system with the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court not having not one legal judge on their court, not a one. And with the DA's office being illegal, not even following the Texas Constitution. Why do we even have the Texas Constitution if they don't want to follow the Texas Constitution by signing an anti bribery statement promising that they didn't take bribes in order to become the district attorney, the prosecutor for the 34th Judicial District? You know, they're not legally sitting in that chair. Montoya is not legally sitting in the chair. Neither was Bill Hicks. And so we have uncovered Jaime Esparza's problems and conflicts of interest, his cartel ties, um, the problem with the federal courthouse, with Michael Mayella being the manager of the federal courthouse and being family to Patrick Crucius, a major case, the Walmart shooting, and just more, and just uh, just the cartel being there in El Paso with the Mormon faction that have been long with the cartel because they're from the colonies there in Chihuahua, Mexico. The Romneys, the Wittens, the Farnsworth. Do those names sound familiar? Right? Because you can hear those in Fort Huachuca in Arizona. You hear it in El Paso. This is the border problem with Fort Huachuca and Fort Bliss. Um, so we are, our find Richard Halliday, our little podcast, even though I come on so late. Um, and we're really where you go to get the good news. Uh, what we are exposing is jaw dropping, is, uh, and you just don't hear it anywhere else. A little bit on Candace Owens. Candace Owens is revealing um, some jaw dropping news, um, but it's limited. It's limited because the investigation, the epicenter is El Paso, Texas. The epicenter for all of this is El Paso, Texas. And that's what they're missing. It's not Fort Huachuca, it's El Paso. And we're going to put some of those dots together. Because why is it that it's being reported that Dan Flood and Brian Harple, the security, right? The security. Um, and this is where a lot of the Charlie Kirk, including Candace Owens, advocates, investigators, are really we're very, very grateful for them. So grateful for them because they're shedding light on what's going on at Fort Bliss and in El Paso with their research because it wasn't, I, I don't even think it was 24 hours. I was on the live stream absolutely declaring to people that what happened to Charlie Kirk is absolutely connected to our son's case. And that is uh, becoming more and more evident. And Brian Harple, who, was identified as being at Fort Huachuca on the 9th of September 2025, just one day before the terrible loss of life in Charlie Kirk. Um, who, this is what we reported by witnessing what happened to Charlie Kirk because they wanted everyone to witness it, right? Well, number one, he had a very expensive security team in Brian Harple and Dan Flood. Very expensive. And they put him in a hole. He was low ground. He was a sitting duck. Charlie Kirk was a sitting duck. They put him in a hole. They put him at low ground. When, after he had said that he was fearing for his life, that sounds very familiar to Richard's case because he said he was fearing for his life. He told me he was fearing for his life. Now, Brian Harple and Dan Flood didn't have the whole COVID chaos around them during, so they have no excuse at all. But they put him in a hole when he felt very, very pressured that someone was going to attempt to take his life. And he was right. They did. And it looks more and more evident and suspicious that it was connected to the military and military operations and military asymmetric warfare tactics, which is what is taught at Fort Huachuca. And we had an asymmetric warfare officer assigned to us as our casualty affairs officer who was caught conducting asymmetric warfare tactics against us. We've had about 6, maybe more now, casualty affair officers for our son's case. I don't think that's ever happened before. I don't know. I don't know. Some kind of Army historian needs to tell me. And now we have this breaking news that Dan Flood, it's being reported, and Brian Harple, it's being reported that they were all in the security and military and everything like that and are from Allen, Texas. Well, who's from Allen, Texas? Patrick Crusius is from Allen, Texas. Brian Crusius, his father, Brian Crusius, his brother, who's married to the, Alexis Mayella in El Paso, the federal courthouse's manager's daughter, the sister of the trained hacker, cybersecurity, who was working for the DA's office for Jaime Esparza and James Montoya, and was interning in the FBI office under Colin Wetton, and was also hired in the cybersecurity for Walmart, the very company where the terrible shooting happened with Patrick Crusius. And we believe evidence declares and shouts out from the rocks, from the stones, from the walls of the Walmart, from the pavement of the parking lot of Walmart, from the entrances at the Walmart, that there were multiple shooters, and from the mall, from the Cella Vista Mall that is part of that complex. And these other shooters were in black tactical gear carrying M4s, which are the military grade weapon. And now we're hearing reports that those kind of scenes were seen at Charlie Kirk, an individual in black tactical gear. And then the investigations and the research is going out to other shootings, other it's the same playbook. It's the same playbook, and they and I can tell you this, that Patrick Crusius uh was not supposed to survive the Walmart shooting because attorney Joe's open checkbook Spencer said that he surrendered twice. He surrendered twice. He went back because he wasn't supposed to live through it. He was supposed to die. And this comes from a severely autistic and individual from Allentown with a severe mental health conditions, blind without his glasses, didn't even know where he uploaded the manifesto to when he was interrogated. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Um, that interrogation video is just If you haven't watched it, it's on YouTube. It was released by, sorry, the Department of Public, the Texas Rangers, who are totally cartel, y'all. They are totally compromised by the cartel. And so, how does this happen? How does this infiltration happen? Well, we've been invaded, and in that invasion was some conspiracies, some colluding, some deal making, and we dropped that yesterday or day before yesterday that Oswaldo Rodriguez Barunda, who owns the Aldiario Chihuahua, Aldiario Juarez, Aldiario El Paso newspapers, colluded and compromised to create a joint venture alliance with the El Paso cartel. What? An El Paso cartel? That the Juarez cartel schemed and colluded and made a deal, a joint venture alliance with the El Paso cartel. And what did that entail? Like visas? So they can buy homes? Well, Cesar Duarte owns over, 14 homes in El Paso? Rafael Arellano Caron and his mother, Rosa Maria Purchase Arellano Caron, who owned the Plenitude Crematorium, rat infested dumping ground of bodies for disposal over on the Juarez side, has multiple homes, one right beside Beto O'Rourke, um, and does major business, lots of business over in El Paso. Carlos Manuel Salas, the prosecutor for the North Zone, he lives in El Paso. How is it that Cesar Paneche, who has been accused of major billion-barrel fuel theft for his Grupo Carvel by siphoning oil from the Pemex, and suspicions are flowing everywhere that it was also from Fort Bliss, that they were siphoning fuel from Fort Bliss. Why is it that he lives in Texas? He's the Mexican Attorney General for the state of Chihuahua, Mexico. Yes, you can say former, but I'm talking about at the time. So we have major news on Find Richard Halliday. I hope you search it. I hope you subscribe. I hope you um, do everything you need to do to get this news. Um, our sources are just absolutely amazing. And to have security, um, be connected to, okay, so the security of Charlie Kirk, Brian Harple, and Dan Flood, be connected through Allentown connections to Brian Crucius, the father of Patsy. When Brian Crucius confessed to training under, um, what's the guy's name? Something of God in Brazil. Um, I just had it. Let me look because this is so important. It's so important. And we're getting this. Yeah. So he openly trained under John. Oh, I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to have to change this real quick. I can't stand it, y'all. I cannot stand it. Sometimes I make a mistake. These are devil people, and I have to change this right while I'm talking to you. This John of God, this John of God, can you believe that? That sounds so bad already. And what was he up to? Absolutely no good. He was absolutely up to no good. It's worse than no good. It's demonic stuff. I'll make sure yep, there you go. Oh yeah, that's better. Ah. And I'm going to do this too. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a red line through it, and then I'll put it up. And I'm going to put devil. Oh yeah, these people. I should just put Satan. Okay, yep, there it goes. Now I'll post it up. This is why it takes so long, because we're the media, right? We're the media, we're the we're the investigators. We're just we love our son. And what happened to Richard is it's just beyond letting go of. Okay? You just got to fight, because not even capitalized all that. Anyway, doesn't. Okay. Maybe I'll fix it even more later. But what happened to Richard is so bad, and the thing is the evidence shows that this has been going on. This has been going on for a long time. This is the problem with we have been under attack. Psychological attack. Our families have been attacked. Our genders have been attacked. Um, just common sense has been attacked. Our military has been attacked, infiltrated, our whole system. And of course, I would say the city of God has been attacked. And the thing is that God is so big that now they're being caught. They're being caught. This slithering, snaky group that is Mormon faction, 100%. I mean, that just I have so much more to share with you in the coming days. But this Mormon faction with the cartel tied, with this El Paso cartel now in alliance with the Juarez cartel, giving giving access. You see, access to our institutions, access to our agencies, access to our security, access to our investigative databases, access to housing, access to car registrations and driver's license. So access to our voting. And they mean us harm. They mean us harm because this John of God, Satan guy, what was he being accused of? Um, he was convicted. He was convicted of the big R, the worst type of crimes against, uh, well, because oh my gosh, and black market baby operations. Is this connected to La Diabla? Is this connected to La Diabla? I mean, is this how dark it is? Thank you, Laura, for getting on. Thank you so much for your prayers and your love. Can you imagine this, Laura? What they're doing? That Patrick Crucius's father, and I knew this at the beginning, um, that he was some kind of, uh, experimenting in mental manipulation, psyops, and everything like that. I was told that. But we were having breaking news every day. Think about all of the breaking news, all of the issues that we've had to respond to, all of the threats, the harassment, everything that we've gone through on top of everything. Um, and still be able to follow the leads, discover them, identify them, file them to all the agencies to make a paper trail, because the paper trail is so important. It's so important. It's timestamps. It's absolutely showing their dereliction, their crimes, their obstruction, their interference, so we've documented that. We can't just say, oh, while we were reporting it on our little Facebook, we had to file it with all the agencies, with all the institutions over these 5 years. Document, document, document. And we've had to save it and organize it, and all of that saving and organizing, putting it together so that when you hear that Brian Harple and Dan Flood are from Allen, Texas, you're like, oh, wow, that's Patrick Crucius, that's Brian Crucius. And wasn't he dealing in some kind of um, mental psyop stuff? Isn't that what they do at Fort Huachuca? Isn't that what was going on at Fort Bliss? Is this all military related? Well, that's what's being reported. And when did I get a lot of harassment? When I started saying that 44 four-star generals are just absolutely no good. No good. That they have broken their oath to defend this country from foreign and domestic enemies, that they have joined the foreign and domestic enemies, because it was very clear that that's what they were doing, that that's what they're doing. Has Sean Bernabe been arrested? Has Donna Martin been arrested? Has Michael Mealy, Mealy, General Mealy been arrested? And um, McConville been arrested, uh, and Clem Coward been arrested. They all need to be arrested. They all need to be called back in. I mean, Sean Bernabe still active duty. Same thing with James Eisenhower. Same thing with you have uh, Taylor, right? General Taylor. They they're absolutely no good. They need to be arrested. And what is President Trump waiting on? He can't have a bunch of traitorous, mutinous generals and their over our volunteer sons and daughters putting their life in danger. I mean, why is Leilani Hart still walking around? She needs to be arrested because look at what they are doing. And, oh, well, we need to protect our military. Our military won't do any good for us in protection if it's if it's stabbing us in the back. And evidence is coming out and coming out and coming out. And yes, we have criminal um, illegals in this country. I understand that. But my goodness, we have traitorous generals. We have a military that is unhinged and doing us far more damage. Far more damage. And it needs to be addressed. When I get a letter that says that Sean Bernabe and Donna Martin and McConville, James McConville, he's the one that put together that stupid, very expensive task force find Richard Halliday. Why was it stupid? Because it was a dog and pony show. The military wasn't even in uniform. They didn't even have an operational order, and yet it had over 15 plus um, agencies and attending. That doesn't happen. And you have the likes of Ted Cruz, who knew all about it, that didn't do anything. Ted Cruz, who had Judge Roger Rodriguez's whistleblower complaint on his desk and didn't do anything about it. Didn't even notify us that he had it. And oh, was it important? Yeah, it identified the prime suspects in the murder of our son. It identified the leaks in our son's case. It identified the tampering in our son's case. And yet, Ted Cruz didn't even lift up a phone, didn't even email. We were in contact with him. We're still in contact with him. Didn't even lift up a phone to call us to let us know. Same thing with Sean Bernabe. It was on his desk. It was on Connell Wetton's desk. The FBI, you think they called us? No, they're the ones that told us that Nadal Baim was just nobody. This Palestinian arms dealer. That he was just a nobody. That his family ties to the cartel didn't mean anything. That his family ties to 32nd ADCOM G3 didn't mean anything. That his ties to cartel that were within the DPS, the very Texas Ranger that was assigned to our case, that didn't mean anything to let us know. Yeah. When I read the thing like this, John the God thing from Brazil, and I look at the way Brazil's people have suffered, the way they're being exploited, when I look at how Mexico's people have been exploited, when I look at how our our people in our country has been exploited, and it's the same group, the same pipeline, and they're using uh, stolen oil and stolen American resources. It's because the oil is very important. The fuel is very important because that funds it all, y'all. And they even are destroying like our beauty pageants. I mean, I used to love watching them, but it's all like part of the whole criminal trafficking. And now with the arrest of the owners of Miss Universe, you find out that they were part of the whole fuel theft along with the criminal trafficking. So, yeah, this Charlie Kirk, what happened to Charlie Kirk would never have happened if the FBI would have listened to Richard's whistleblowing. And I'm sure forerunners, whistleblowers that were forerunners that were also silenced. Richard would be alive today. I'm sure he, with his beautiful personality and looks and everything, he'd be married, probably have one child. These people are just absolutely flesh peddlers. That's what they are. They're death mongers. They're just, and they're using our military and our government system. And yeah, it is so bad tonight. Um, you know, had to express myself a little. Keep fighting, Mama. We are with you and praying for you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Carissa, I hope I say your name right. Thank you so much. Um, we are absolutely, this is the vicious negotiations for our son's remains. We know they have them. We know he was trafficked to Mexico. We know that DOJ know, that DHS knew, that the FBI knew. We knew that they were part of it. We are fighting for the repatriation of our son's remains from our own government uh, eh, that became an El Paso cartel with Mexican cartel. They made an alliance. And of course it was for money. And the Juarez cartel and the other cartels wanted access to our databases, access to our government for impunity, that they would be, that it would be blocked, any investigations would be blocked or covered up or whatever. That there were laws for some people and no laws for them. And it just spread. And it spread beyond El Paso, y'all. It spread beyond El Paso. And that's why Fort Huachuca is involved in this. But El Paso is the epicenter. And it spreads up to Oklahoma. I'm not joking. It absolutely spreads to Colorado. It's our military. And so please watch some Candace Owens. I'm I think it's a little bit broader than what she is saying, but and she has good researchers, but we have great intelligence assets, great ones. They didn't realize that our family has deep roots into White Sands and El Paso and Mexico and New Mexico and Fort Bliss and the military. They didn't realize that. And they didn't realize that we don't take it too kindly when they take our son's life. No. So thank you so much. God bless you. And please share, please join, please share. We are being shadow banned. We are, because they have conducted asymmetric warfare, right? They've conducted false narratives, just like they did for the Walmart mass shooting. Patrick Crucius is not a white supremacist. Okay, he surrendered twice to Hispanic police officers. Just kind, is so sweet, so nice. Well, watch the video of the interrogation. Those are two Hispanic officers. He's just like, okay, whatever. And they're just like with baby gloves on going out, and it's so obvious. And is he part of this group? Yeah, he's part of this group, but he has been I think a liability for that group, and that's why they made him Patsy, because he has severe autism, severe mental health conditions. And at 21, I think they lose financial help with that. But I'm not sure, but I think so. And um, now they have the taxpayers taking care of them without even a mental health evaluation. They didn't even conduct, which is required by law in Texas to conduct a mental health evaluation so we know what's going on. And then the other thing is too, because the gun issue has really come up with expert um, gun um, analysis, is that they're saying that the gun that they showed him with is like a cheap Chinese prop uh, trainer gun or prop gun that had been run over. There's all kinds of anomalies looking at this gun, and that in no way could it even shoot like that. And it's lightweight, and the way he handles it in the videos, it's like, oh yeah, it is lightweight for him. Because I know how to shoot. These rifles are very heavy. A good one is very heavy. So it's like, wow, they have something to this with this gun issue. Well, then we got confirmation that the Mexican Marcilio abroad, um, requested to see the weapon, to inspect the weapon. Did you know that he was denied? He was denied, which corroborates that there's something wrong with this weapon. It corroborates that what the gun expert analysis said, that this is like a run over Chinese prop gun, could be very accurate. So, what does that mean? That means that there were multiple shooters, like what Glennon Oakley Jr. saw in black tactical gear with M4s in the mall, what numerous other people saw, and what Memo Garcia reported to say Patrick Crucius is not the one that shot me. Of course, because look at the video that I made for Maria Eugenia Lagaret Roth. Who shot Maria? Because in that video, I have the unredacted picture of her. It was a professional headshot, y'all. Close up professional headshot. There is no way that that who shot, because it wasn't Patrick. He even turns away. And I don't even know with that guy, he walks so confident. Patrick didn't do that. And Patrick's arms were skinny. This arm was a little buff, right? So, when you're in our situation and you know that, the family of Alexander Gerhard Hofmann was in possession of Richard's credit cards after his death, his family ties were in possession of our son's credit cards and financial information after his death, then, you look at things very closely because he's laying there. We have the unredacted picture and video of him laying there with a professional execution. And is there a connection between who orchestrated this, who staged it? Because I'm not denying that people lost their lives. I'm saying that the narrative around all that death is false. We're being lied to about it. And that's very clear and very clear. And I'm 100% sure on that because all of our evidence that we have collected over these years yell it out from every part of Walmart. Nothing supports their fake narrative. So, um, we look at things then very, very closely. So that we can get closer and closer to the individuals that are keeping our son's body from coming home. And it's connected to our military. Those people that are keeping our son's remains from coming home are part of our military. And the crimes that they have committed, they need to be court-martialed and they need to face the death penalty. And if justice is done, I want front row middle seats. $100. And before 5 years ago, or even probably 3 years ago, and Sean Bernabe could even confess to this, before 5 years ago, I never would have dreamed about saying something like that. But these crimes are so egregious and are such a national security threat um, that touches everybody in the world. And I mean that because El Paso is the epicenter. That these traitors need to face the death penalty and pray that justice is done and I can have front row middle seats right there. I want to look at them in the eye. I want to make sure that evil is defeated. Thank you so much. God bless you, and please share, and I will be back tomorrow.